All right,
We
the
are recording.
Improvement Service Committee will come to order and we'll do an agenda, roll call. I can tell I'm rusty, boy. Alder Eck,
I'm here.
Alder DeLee, here. Alder Presley, here. And I am present. Sorry for my missing the last couple weeks. Between my mom and my wife being in the ER and hospital, I always kid with them, we're gonna get a punch card, and like on the 10th one, you get a free visit, but it hasn't
Oh,
worked
boy.
yet, so. Had enough of that for a while.
That's
We
not,
should be
that's
calm.
not the kind of punch card you
No,
want.
we
No,
don't,
no.
so, enough, yeah.
Sounds like an expensive punch card.
Yes,
Yes.
it is, you really have to earn it. Good way to meet your maximums. Can we have an approval of the agenda?
Motion
To approve. Oh,
Second.
Motion by Alder Eck, second by Alder Presley to approve. Any changes? Those in favor?
Aye.
aye.
Opposed? That carries. Approval of the minutes.
Move to approve.
Motion by Alder Lee,
Second.
second by Alder Presley to approve. Any changes? Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Number one, consideration of possible action on a request by Department of Public Works to reallocate funds previously authorized for a transportation utility feasibility study, the TUFS. Right, TUF study.
Yep.
To be utilized to obtain software and consulting services for the Facilities Management Division of the Department of Public Works.
Oh, good, you got it on here.
What's that?
Oh, so we can talk about it.
Oh, yeah.
Requested.
Yeah.
We came to you a while back talking about a feasibility study for a transportation utility. Obviously, we held that pending resolution of the lawsuit between WMC and the Village of Pewaukee. Village of Pewaukee had appealed the appellate decision to the state Supreme Court in the hopes that the transportation utility would be seen by the Supreme Court as a utility, not as a tax. During the summer of 2024, Wisconsin State Supreme Court elected not to hear the case. So by not taking the case, the appellate court decision finding in favor of WMC remains in effect, meaning that transportation utilities are not utilities, they are indeed a tax. That doesn't mean we can't have them. It means that they have a negative impact on our levy. So dollar for dollar, any money you're collecting through the utility, you have to take off of your levy, and that creates trickle-down effects that at this point in time, we're not willing to entertain. We may in the future, but at least for right now, this is not in the city's best interest to move forward. Starting with 2024, we added integrated facilities management to the table of organization for the city of Green Bay. That is something we have never had in the past, and something that well, I've been advocating for facilities management for the 17 years that I've been here, and my former director, Director Wiesner, told me, Steve, be careful what you ask for because you might get it and it'll probably wind up under DPW, and I said that's where it belongs. So thankfully, the Common Council did elect to create a facilities management group this year to help oversee all of the buildings that are owned by the city and take a more holistic look at them rather than each department programming their individual buildings, much like we did with the 5-year capital improvement plan. So that does reside under our facilities manager, Trista Hobbs. And one of the things that Trista has identified as her most pressing need is some sort of an inventory, like an asset management system, so that we know what we have. And what she's come to us with is a program that is known as FaciliCAD. It is an AutoCAD-based software. So you take an AutoCAD drawing of a plan view of the building, so multiple floor buildings, it'd be a floor plan of each floor. And with that, you can assign assets to every room in the building. So we could know everything from the color of the carpeting in there to the age and model of the telephone, what they've got for electrical outlets, light switches, data cabling, everything that you would need to know, the age of the HVAC system for that building. This HVAC system services this part of the building, this services this, lighting, all of that stuff we need to make educated, informed decisions on facilities management. That software in and of itself is about a $35,000 initial investment. We do wind up with about a $3,500 annual subscription fee. That becomes part of our operating budget moving forward, but we do need to be able to buy the software up front. Getting that software and then populating it, starting to go through all of our buildings and actually assigning the attributes to those buildings and to those rooms. Jim and I took a look at it, and we are estimating that if we do it in-house, we're probably looking at somewhere in the 5 to 7 year range to populate our existing buildings, which isn't going to do Trista and her facilities management group much good over the next 5 to 7 years. The company who does the software also provides that service where they can assist us, bring their team in, inventory our stuff, and get it entered into the computer for us. That's about a $40,000 endeavor. So we're up to about 75. When we looked and said, we've got this money that's been previously allocated to us, it has no fiscal impact to anybody else in the city, and we're not moving forward with this study, we can easily take that money and help that facilities management group do what they've got to do. That leaves $25,000 for Trista to hire consultants to go out and obtain information like floor plans on buildings where we don't have them. I'm sure it's no surprise to you that we got many old buildings that simply have no plans associated with them because they've been around forever. Okay, so like my West Side Garage, that building has been there. God, the East Side Garage is every bit as old, and we just don't have good plans for all the buildings that are out there. So we'll be able to engage a consultant to go out and generate those floor plans and then also populate the data. So again, it seems like a logical way to expend money that's been previously allocated that does not have a use right now. And as I talked to the finance committee last night when we were talking about capital improvement program, I said that's one of the things that, if nothing else, that's one of the things DPW has gotten pretty bloody good at, is finding ways to repurpose things to keep them moving forward or to not hit the budget or ask for any additional money. So this would be a huge, huge thing for our facilities management division, so we're asking for your support.
Thank you. Any questions from committee? Motion?
Make a motion to approve.
Motion by Alder Delay to approve.
Second.
Second by Alder Presley. Any discussion on that? Those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And I forgot to mention also, everything tonight's a recommendation to full council next week, Tuesday. Not that we're ever wrong. Right? Number 2, consideration with possible action on request by Department of Public Works to enter into a hold harmless agreement between the City of Green Bay and the Kaiser Construction Company, Inc. to allow the contractor to conduct a partial reconstruction of a manhole within the easement at 145 North Henry Street.
So within the packet, we have provided you with some information, for a copy of the actual hold harmless, or proposed hold harmless agreement. And the last page of that shows an aerial view of the property in question. For those of you who may not be as familiar with the streets here on the east side, this is directly opposite our east side garage. Our garage is on the corner of Henry and Mills on the east side of the street. This is on the west side. So continuing to move west from here, so to your left on the page, would be our Mill Street Pond. This property in question is currently under permitting, I guess is the best way to put it, for development. And during that process, an issue with a manhole was discovered. So that manhole does need to be repaired rather than. De Kaiser is one of our 2 emergency sewer repair contractors, so we use them for this type of work. The difference is this is within an easement on private property, so we're simply asking for a hold harmless agreement to go in and get that work completed. And I think De Kaiser is actually working on behalf of the developer in this case,
Yep.
as opposed to working for us. I bring up the fact that they're our emergency contractor for the purpose to let you know this is a contractor that we do trust. We work with them all the time. They work for us most of the time. They're representing the private property owner in this case, so we feel very comfortable with entering into a hold harmless agreement with them.
All right, thanks, Director. Any questions from the committee?
Motion to approve?
Motion to approve by Alder Rick. Second by Alder Delay. Questions? Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? That carries. Number 3, consideration with possible action and request by Department of Public Works to approve temporary limited easements and warranty deed for the rights of way for the reconstruction of Country Club Road, West Mason Street to Indian Hill Drive. There's a list of them there.
And I can see, as we enter into this discussion, Alder Weary is twitching from previous exposure.
That was a lot.
Oh, yeah.
And Alder Eck has had some exposure, but not nearly to the extent that Alder Weary has, for the 2 new alders. When we are doing road construction projects, especially those with Wisconsin Department of Transportation involvement, we're taking federal funds or state funds for a project. There's a process that needs to be followed. And when we go through real estate acquisition, we have to follow that state acquisition. Part of that involves formal appraisals on the property, and then there's paperwork that goes along with purchasing those acquisitions. So what you're seeing here are the acquisitions we are looking at for the Country Club Road project in anticipation. We're out there doing the utility work this year. The roads will be done next year, so we have to have all the right-of-way in place through WISDOT before we do that. What you're seeing is a TLE, that's a temporary limited easement. Typically, those are for grading purposes. So if we're changing the roadway width or adding sidewalk, like we are in this case, you need to grade back on the private property because we put the sidewalk right at the right-of-way. So if we're disturbing 5 feet by the width of somebody's lawn, on a city project, we would just come to a mutual agreement that we're going to do this, and everybody goes on their merry way. You can't do that with the Department of Transportation. If you're taking DOT money or FHWA money through WISDOT, you physically have to get a written agreement with them with a temporary limited easement that expires at the end of the project. So that's what TLEs are.
You got 1 fee, and then for NWTC, they
Okay, I do
free
see
purchase.
the parcel number 13 with Northeast Wisconsin Technical College. That is a fee title, so we're actually purchasing a small strip of right-of-way from them, and we will own that right-of-way in the future. So it's a fee title. And what's the WD?
The warranty deed.
Okay, so as opposed to purchase and fee title, we're getting a warranty deed. That's through the Oneida Nation.
Actually, no, that's through.
Oh, it's actually
Golf
through the
and
golf
range.
course.
Country club.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's for where the discharge structure is.
Okay.
We discharge into the existing stream.
So these have all been run through the DOT process. We used our consultant to negotiate the price. And most of these are, what you do is you put together a project book, and the project book takes a look at sale of similar properties, no different than you would do for a comp for buying or selling a home. But here we look at property value only. And a lot of times they will set a de minimis value for an incidental take, which in this case is that, well, it looks like they actually went through, it's anywhere from $500 to $800 on the incidentals. So then they take that cost per square foot, multiply it times the number of square feet that are being adversely impacted. If it falls below the minimum, we pay the minimum. If it goes above the minimum, then we pay the actual rounded up to the even $100. Historically, a temporary limited easement, we're going to come in and regrade your lawn to make it look nice. We pay the same for a TLE that we do if we're purchasing that land. It's really no different. Property owners being adversely impacted, there's a cost to that. So these are relatively very, very low dollar numbers, not like when we did
North Webster.
North Webster. We had to acquire 24 homes there. We were talking hundreds of thousands of dollars when we were coming in to buy and relocate people. So a couple $1,000s for some TLEs, we're pretty happy with how the numbers worked out. But it's really just for grading, mostly for grading purposes, except as Jim had indicated, where that discharge structure is for the storm sewer, we need to get the warranty deed from Oneida Golf and Country Club.
Lorette?
Yeah, so, and I remember a lot of the people coming in and concerned about cost because they have to pay for a sidewalk. So this will help. I mean, we're giving them some
Sure.
money that could help.
Yeah,
I
it gives
know
them a
it's not
little
gonna pay
bit
for
of
the whole
something
thing.
back. Right.
But, I mean, I guess it has to, money has to change hands, and then, I mean, they can do their own sidewalks, or
Right.
the city can do it. But- All right, that's all.
Any other questions? Motions?
Motion to approve?
Motion to approve by Alder Eck,
Second.
second by Alder Lilly. Any discussion on that? Those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That carries. Number 4, consideration of possible action on a request by Department of Public Works to grant a permanent easement to Meyer Family Investment Corporation, owner of parcel 21-1203-2, to construct and maintain stormwater structures on City of Green Bay property.
Okay, so this is actually a parallel item to the one we had under item number 2, same property.
Manhole.
With the manhole. So if you look at the graphic that we provided at the end of the packet for this item, you will see that there is one of the buildings that kind of at a 45-degree angle. That's where the storm sewer runs through. So in the southwest corner of the property, the property owner, the developer, is proposing a stormwater management pond. That pond has to discharge somewhere. Normally, after the water's been treated, we allow them to discharge back into our storm sewer, which would be immediately to the north in Mill Street. However, immediately to the west of this property is our Mill Street pond. Our Mill Street pond is fed by that storm sewer, and the water has to be pumped into it. So we'd be adding pumping costs, not just discharging. So rather than do that, they've come up with a plan where their discharge structure will simply cross the property line, and their pond will discharge directly into our pond. It's going to provide a little bit of extra treatment, not much, but it provides a place for the water to go, and we don't have to pump it again, which is the big thing. So staff is recommending that we approve this. They're going to build infrastructure on our property. We need to have an easement. Can't do things on a handshake like we used to do 20 years ago.
Fair enough. Any questions?
Motion to approve?
Motion by Alder Eck,
Second.
second by Alder Presley. Any discussion on that? Those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That carries. Right. Director's report.
Okay, I have 2 things for you very briefly tonight. We're into October. That means loose leaf season. So we have been blasting information on our Facebook page. October 14th, the week of October 14th starts the loose leaf collection. Please advise your residents to follow us on Facebook, the City of Green Bay, or Department of Public Works page. As we have done for the last several years, we will be updating that page daily to let people know where we're going to be. That will stop them from putting a live pile of leaves out there and letting them sit there for 3 weeks while we don't get to them, and then people complain about killing their grass, right? We always talk on that page about loose leaf or spring yard waste collection. We always coach that discussion in terms of your normal garbage day. So when you see on there, we're in Friday routes, that's when your garbage is normally collected. We will tell you, we're in Friday routes, but we're gonna say that on Tuesday. And it's like, wait a minute, why are you in a Friday route, it's Tuesday? We obviously don't wanna be picking leaves the same time that we're picking garbage and getting each other's way. So we're offset by a couple of days. But we will be posting that on a daily basis to let folks know where we are and where they can expect us the following day or 2. We have been, for 3 years, we have been writing letters to folks advising them that you cannot place the piles in the street. That's against our ordinance. The ordinance is rooted in our stormwater permitting. Now, for ease of conversation, we say it's against our permit. There's really not a permit condition that says thou shalt not put the leaves in the street, okay? We have that permit, and then through WDNR, as a pass-through from EPA, there are conditions that we are trying to meet as far as pollutant reduction. We are allowed to claim pollutant reduction if the leaves stay on the terrace. If people put them in the street, we can't claim the credit. Okay, so what's the big deal? Why is the credit so important? The stormwater utility pays the costs of the curbside collection, both spring and fall, and they pay to run the 2 yard waste sites. If I can't claim the credit, it doesn't make sense financially for my stormwater utility to pay the cost. If we don't pay the cost of a stormwater utility, that goes to levy. That's almost $1 million a year that would be added to the levy. We don't want to do that. We would like stormwater to continue to pick those costs up. If we do that, we've got to stay in the terrace. So, over the past 3 years, as we found violators, we sent letters telling you it's bad, don't do that anymore, please listen to us and keep them where they are. This fall, and we're putting the media blast out on this, if we find them, you're gonna get an invoice in the mail. We're gonna start charging. And it's probably gonna be somewhere between $50 and $100 is gonna be the invoice. So it will provide a quick financial disincentive to people real quick, but as alders, you will likely be getting phone calls. So we just wanna make sure you know about it ahead of time. The only other thing that I did want to bring to your attention, we had to wait until after I came back from PWX in Atlanta at the end of August. Earlier this year, the city of Green Bay was selected by the American Public Works Association to be profiled by APWA. We were one of 7 municipalities across the United States that were chosen for that honor. They were paying attention especially to our flood resiliency, stormwater management, and green stormwater infrastructure efforts that you as a common council passed last fall. So with that, they sent a crew up here in late July, and we were able to, we harvested about 2 hours worth of footage over the course of about an 8-hour day. They sent that footage back to my producer in London, and he cut the story, and they unveiled the videos at PWX down in Atlanta, so I had an opportunity to see them. They are now posted on the city, on DPW Facebook page. So if you're interested, go to the DPW Facebook page, and you will be able to see there's a 6-minute video there that talks about the efforts that the city's doing. They also provided all the raw footage that they captured that day, so we can use that raw footage for whatever we want. We can cut it, splice it, put it into whatever we want to do. And we are very hopeful that by putting some of that out into cyberspace, that we can use that to, in our recruiting efforts, to find some folks that say, hey, Green Bay's doing some really fun, innovative stuff up there. I want to be part of that team, and we can help use that to recruit staff in the future. So just wanted to let you folks know that. So if you're sleepless some night and you need some way to fall asleep, you can go out to our Facebook page and see a video that we've done.
I think I read something already on Rotten Tomatoes.
Probably,
It
yes.
said
Rotten
captivating,
Tomatoes.
moving, inspirational. So that was a review by Rotten Tomatoes. I don't know.
I'm sure it was on Rotten Tomatoes, because I'm the first thing you see during.
But it was
the
fresh. Yeah, it was fresh. It was positive. Yeah, it was a good.
Good tomato.
Yeah, it was a good review.
Rotten Tomato.
Well, it's called that. They just review all kinds of things, like the experts and fans. Yeah. Thanks, Steve. I
Motion to
will watch
receive,
it.
motion to receive and place on file.
Motion to receive, place on file. Direct.
Second.
Second by Alder Presley. Those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. All right. Next
Motion to
meeting is
adjourn.
October 23rd. Motion to adjourn. Alder DeLee, or was that Alder Presley? Alder DeLee, all right.
DeLee.
Who wants to leave the quickest? Second by Alder Presley. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. We're adjourned.
Next